Hi, I'm Terry Bozio, and welcome to Drum Channel. Today I have the honor of introducing two amazing, well, what can you say? They're like pillars of the percussion community here in Los Angeles. On my left is Joe Porcaro, and on my right is Emil Richards, and we're joined by Don Lombardi, the founder of DW Drums and the owner and operator, the CEO of Drum Channel.
Thank you for having me co-host this with you.
Yes, please. Now take it, Don.
I was very, 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 very excited. And we have Terry Bozio here, our guest here in the art of drumming. How many movie dates do we have here? Well over 2,000 between you two, right?
Oh,
well over.
More than between him and I, but especially him, Emil. You know, I mean, I did over about 1,500, according to my wife. We get a list, you know, every year when we get our residual, you know, check. And she counted over 1,000 a few years back. But this guy, you know, I would say over 2,000. Yeah. And not counting TV film, I'm talking movies. TV film, oh my God, you know, that's another story.
Terry, I know you've got questions to ask these gentlemen, and I have a ton of them also.
I don't know where to begin. Let me tell you just my experience, right? This guy got me in a lot of trouble. This guy gave me a couple of instruments, an angklung from Indonesia, and this carved, god-like looking log drum with a big long mouth and a fish that you hit the side with from Bali, I think. And that was it. I started collecting instruments. I just got fascinated with sounds. His books and stuff too, you know. He had making instruments from stuff you find around the house, like just as simple as, remember when there was phone books? You could split the phone book to a thinner and a thicker, you know, bunch of paper on each side, and you get two tones out of that when you hit a mallet. On and on and on. And so I got hooked on the sound thing and the unconventional sounds you can get out of conventional instruments, which he specialized in. And now they own me. All my percussion possessions, they own me. I don't own them.
Yeah, and know? Excuse me, but he's used those on movie calls.
I know.
And he's got doubles for them.
Yeah, sure.
Playing on phone book?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One time he had 4 books, you know, 4 pitches.
2 doubles?
You know, all over the place.
Yeah.
Did the yellow pages bring
and
more
guess,
than the white pages?
And guess what? It's because of him that we got all these extra doubles. Yeah. This is the guy that started it all.
Yeah.
Explain what that is a little bit, because a lot of people out there wouldn't know what you're
Emil, you explain what doubles are. He started it all.
Well, when I got to town, there was only 2 doubles in the percussion department.
What's a double?
A double meant that you played a different instrument than the instrument you came to play. Like if I was playing xylophone and someone asked me to play cymbals, that's a different category, so it became a different double.
50%.
50% was your first double.
The first one.
20% for each double after that.
So then in '75, when I met you, the first time I met you, you had 2 doubles on a T-shirt. That's what you were wearing. So you've been making long bread for a long time.
Yeah. No, we were fair about it because there are so many different instruments in the percussion family that we used to have meetings at my house once a month before we decided on what we would call a double. And we were fair. I mean, the term percussion, we found at least 25 to 30 instruments that were in the percussion family, meaning if you played all those instruments, you did not get a double. And we felt that was fair. And then besides just the regular doubles, specialized stuff came into view, like tabla drums. Tabla drums is a world of study in itself. If a person plays tabla drums, he usually only plays tabla drums. And in most cases, he would ask for double scale because it was such a specialized instrument. And on and on. I mean, the percussion family just has grown so much, and there are so many specialized fields, like playing steel drums. Steel drums is another specialized instrument where a person will come in and he'll ask for double scale just to play that instrument.
Composers, you know, they're applying for a movie to score a movie, and they're looking for sounds the other guys aren't using.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted to get away from the traditional sounds.
Yeah.
So Lalo Schifrin, these great composers, they would come to these like Ojai Music Festival, and Pierre Boulez would come over from France, and he's got these, you know, there was no time signature in his scores, you know, and it was everything you play when he points to you, one of those kind of things. And then Lalo, you know, he's looking for guys that, like Emil, you know, playing all these new instruments coming on the scene, like cymbalum, things like that, tablas, you know. And he's got all this extra stuff to offer the producers, you know. And, he, you know, he's known for doing that, you know. Plus, like a guy like Lalo, who could really get into jazz, you know. And that's what made him popular, starting with Mission Impossible and coming out with, you know, Odd Times, you know, playing in 5, you know, like all over the place. And later in 7 and so on, you know.
Yeah.
So that had a lot to do with you know, him going, he went all over the world.
I know.
Collecting instruments.
I've been to his house. I've been to his shop. I mean, we rehearsed the first time with Zappa.
Yeah, all that
orchestra
microtonal
gig.
stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and Parch instruments and all that. I mean, you know, I don't know if you guys have had a big effect on me, you know, you bastards.
What year was that? What year are you talking about when you first?
It must have been early '76. I think I had done one tour with Frank, and yeah, so like maybe summer '76. Yeah. So then we came back off the road. He fired everybody but me, and he was going to build a new band. But before that, he wanted to do this orchestral thing. So he gave me all these charts, and I'm lucky, you know, I get to go in the little room that Tom Waits used to rehearse in at Frank Zappa's place down on Sunset. And, you know, I just like had to work my butt off to because, you know, when I got the gig, I barely knew about superimposed rhythms. I'd seen a little bit of it, you know, in classical piano music, like Debussy, you know, a run of 13 or something. But to play 13 over 4 or something, that was not something I was ready for. So I had to, okay, it's close to 12, so let's start there and then cheat, you know. And that's what I was doing. So that's how I approached it, and I got to the point where, you know, I was having to practice this so much, I knew this stuff pretty cold, you know. So then when we first started rehearsing with the percussion ensemble, it was like Tom Rainey, Alan Estes, John Bergamo, Emil, and yeah, I think that was it, right? So you know, I was with the deep guys, right? And they're all sight reading this stuff, you know, and I'm, thank God, I have it somewhat memorized and can, you know, hold my own. So yeah, that was my first experience meeting Emil. And we rehearsed at his warehouse there, where he had all these percussion instruments for rent, and that he used on his movie dates and all that. And he starts talking to me and showing me all this stuff, and that was it. I was hooked, you know. And I've been hooked ever since.
When you go into a movie date in those days, I know you had the large arsenal of all of these different instruments that you guys are talking about.
Yes.
Would it be a situation where the producer would not know you had something to create a certain sound? If you saw something, would you say, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Or after a while, would they say, hey, bring in this, bring in
the
that?
book.
Most of the time, the composer, rather than the producer, was the composer that became privy to what we were doing and what we were collecting. And it's funny, every time I took a tour, took a trip to some country, when I got back, my phone would ring off the hook. The composers would all say, "What's new? What do you got that I haven't heard before? I got a movie coming. I want to use something no one else has ever done," you know. So that just inspired me to go out and find more stuff, I guess, you know.
So I think this is a good point to interject the let's try and stump Emil portion of the program.
Okay.
I brought something here,
You want to?
and I just want to see if you know it. No,
Okay.
I want to see if he can recognize what it is, because I never heard of one, and you know, it just showed up as a gift. So here we are. And
This is an instrument of sorts.
yes,
Okay.
and it's not a bong. Do you know what this is?
No, I don't.
You don't?
Oh!
Oh man!
Terry wins.
It's the $1 million question here. This is called a bidro. It's from Japan. It's a glass membrane that's very, very fine here on the bottom. Okay?
Nice.
All blown glass. And then you carefully, not too powerfully, but you blow in and out.
Nice.
That is
That
far
was
out.
really
Isn't that a trip?
And it's like we used to get called during a Mysterioso scene in the movie, and you know those little tiny wood blocks.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a woodpecker.
Yeah.
You know, that high. Do, 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 do,
Yeah.
do, you know, that sounds just
Yeah.
like it.
It's hard to control.
beautiful.
Let's hear it again.
Please. No, go ahead, give it a shot.
Can you roll in that?
Double tonguing? I don't know.
That's kind of hard to control, though. You know?
Yeah, it's totally
Well,
hard.
Wait a
Terry-
minute.
Terry
what are
had it
these little
going,
holes for?
I have no idea. Decoration, I think, but it's some Japanese instrument. So it would be I forget like a glass harmonium. That
Wow,
category, right?
that is beautiful.
And what are you calling it again?
It's called a bidro.
Bidro.
Bidro. I'm not sure. You know the way Japanese pronounce. They kind of drop.
Just when you
vowels.
think there's nothing else to add to your collection,
Yeah.
there's always something
And
else.
it comes
right,
up sounding Italian on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it would. Of course it would.
Well, you know
Speaking
there
of
is.
Italians, you two guys
Did you want to
knew
try?
each
No,
other.
I don't want to
okay.
try it.
You two guys knew each other in high school, right?
I have, I'm an
Junior
asthmatic,
high.
so
No.
my
Grammar school.
breathing is not the greatest.
You guys knew each other in grammar school.
Emil and I, this is a fact now, we have been friends for 78 years.
Wow.
I met Emil 78 years ago at catechism because, you know, our priest wanted to form a band. And he says, who plays an instrument, you know? And, you know, I was 10 years old and I was already playing, you know, in the drum corps at this church. We had a drum and bugle corps, 10 years old. And I says, Father, I played, you know, the snare drum. And Emil says, Father, I play xylophone. And he was a piano player, Father Toscano. He said, I want to form a band for Friday night dances. We used to dance to a Victrola, you know. So I want to form a live band. We played polkas and waltzes until, oh my God, that's all he knew were waltzes and polkas, no foxtrots. But that's when we met,
That's amazing, huh?
78 years ago. I met him when I was 10, he was 8 years old.